Just taking a minute here. There we go. Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin and this is Maggie. And we are delighted to be back on a Monday here. And this week, this today's topic, already we're talking about the week. Today's topic is metaphor. And we're going to have a look at how how our the external processes or circumstances in the world often reflect or are metaphors for or seem to be metaphors for our individual experiences, internal experiences, and so we'll get to talk about metaphor. It should be fun. Good morning, Robert. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. Happy Monday to you and to everybody else who's joining us. Before we get started, let's take a minute to just get settled in. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs and flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing every cell and every organ. And as you exhale, exhale any stress, tension, fatigue, negativity. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, electrifying, energizing, illuminating. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining stress, tension, fatigue, negativity. And now let's just gently press our palms together. Softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms and and feel how delicious that sensation is to just be here physical, having all these wonderful, wonderful sense-based experiences, and bring yourselves present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome. Good morning and happy Monday to you too, Rosalind. Welcome. Great to have you here. So today we're talking about metaphor and life as metaphor and the internal and external play between between ourselves and the universe. And so, I was just thinking over the weekend, I did a bunch of cleaning, which was very desperately needed, by the way. But, cleaning out. And I noticed that that there's been sort of an accumulation, and I had felt a lot of overwhelm around my environment. And actually it was interesting because that was kind of going on emotionally too, and I was doing a lot of cleaning, house cleaning, internal house cleaning, right? And so then I did some external house cleaning too, and I feel a lot lighter, I feel a lot freer. I also noticed that, like, when things feel heavy, I don't know about you, but when things feel heavy, I tend to gain weight. And so there's that heaviness in my body on an emotional and a physical level. And so I wonder if you guys experience anything similar to that, where you can see this life as metaphor kind of idea where we're embodying a concept or an experience or a perspective. Like, really, for the past couple weeks I've felt heaviness, and like I said, I put on some weight. So when we feel light, maybe the weight just sort of falls off more readily, for example. Or maybe we purge things in our environment, and that gives us an expanded sense of freedom, where we're lightening our load, where we're letting go internally, we're also letting go externally. I wonder, do you experience anything like that? Have you noticed those kinds of patterns in your life? Good morning, Tori. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. We're talking about metaphor, life as metaphor, and how as within, so without, the reflection of our internal experience and the externalities that are made manifest or are that are manifest around us. So I'm wondering, what's your experience along these lines? When you're feeling overwhelmed, or um, maybe when it's stormy. Good morning, Bernadette. Bernadette says, I'm a mess. Good morning. So I'm a mess is a great metaphor too. I'm wondering, is there any way we can support you if that's true for you right now? You've been through a lot of trauma. So are you currently going through a lot of trauma, or are you experiencing the after effects of these of this trauma? So Tori says, I'm a mess today too. Hugs. Wow. So I have to say that I've been a mess this past week in a lot of ways. Today I'm feeling less messy, and my environment is less messy, which is also helping me to feel a little bit um, more ordered. But I'm wondering how we can support you guys, Bernadette and Tori. One of the ways to be a mess is sometimes to just allow yourself to be messy, uh, and not resist the emotions that are going through. And as far as trauma, Bernadette, I don't know if you, and Tony too, and anybody else that this, I think that it's a really powerful technique. Good morning, Duncan. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about metaphor, but one of the things that's super, super powerful to assist in moving through trauma is a technique called tapping. And I'm just going to see if I can find the website for you. Um, Here, I found it. Just let me put this in the chat for you. So I'm going to put it in the chat here. And tapping is one of the most powerful self-care techniques that I know. It's very easy and it's tremendously powerful. And if you go to that website, there are lots and lots of tapping protocols for all kinds of different conditions. And once you learn how to tap, then you can do it for yourself. So Bernadette says, mental abuse relationship, 23 years, need to be out, confused. I'm an empath, intuitive healer. I'm lost from past to present. Good morning, Dennis. Welcome, welcome. And Bernadette continues, I lost myself. So let's talk about that, Bernadette. I know what it is to feel unmoored and having lost your sense of self and integrity, meaning integration with yourself. And it takes some work to rediscover your core voice after, especially having been in an abusive relationship where you probably learned not to trust yourself, not to hear your own inner voice. And Duncan says trauma is horrible. I feel for all and send healing for trauma. And we can all be doing that for you as well, Bernadette, and for anyone else who has experienced trauma. I don't imagine that it's possible to go through life without having experienced trauma in one way or another. And certainly some people's lives are much, much more powerfully colored by trauma than others. And it takes tremendous work and courage just for you to continue in the face of having experienced the trauma that you have, Bernadette. Congratulations on your courage for having persisted and for being here right now. And the path of healing is not an easy one. It takes courage. And the fact that you're still here, having faced 23 years of an abusive relationship, is a testament to your strength, even though you may not recognize it, even though you may not feel that strong. The fact that you're still here is a testimony to that. Um, Tori said, people's words always kick me down the most, and I usually don't have anyone to talk to. So I come to Facebook or music. So again, Tori, to you, the thing to recognize about other people is that what they say is a reflection of their perspective. So here, you know, if I'm attacking you because of something that I perceive in you, the likelihood is that that is a weakness for myself. So for instance, people who tell other people that they're not good enough are often people, are generally people who don't feel good enough themselves. Now, that doesn't make their words less wounding, but if you can take a perspective that whenever someone else is communicating, they're communicating from their own world, they're not necessarily telling the truth, then the truth with a capital T. They're not necessarily perceiving things in an unbiased way. It may give you the opportunity to distance yourself a bit from their words and maybe not let them be so wounding. And Bernadette, point, um, being an empath makes things challenging in that we often feel other people's feelings. For me growing up, I wasn't even aware that I was taking on other people's feelings. As an adult, I'm able to say, check in, if this is mine, may I grow from it and use it to the highest good. If it's not, may I bless it and release it with power to heal. And that way I don't have to take ownership of emotions and experiences that are not my own. Good morning, Gia. It is so wonderful to have you here. Welcome, welcome. And Bernadette says, plus menopause, like to learn tapping. So tapping, Bernadette, is one of the easiest things to do. Give yourself a gift of going and practicing on that website. There, like as I said, there are bunches and bunches of resources available there. And once you learn the technique, you know, the cycle of the tapping, then you can apply it for yourself with your own language. And I think you'll find it really, really powerful. Rosalind says, I was criticized for going to bed early. I told them the chickens bed down when the sun goes down. They said back to me, you're not a chicken, Rosalind. You get up early too. Why? So, Rosalind, you know what? They might as well have criticized you for breathing, right? It's like you could do nothing right. If you go to bed early, you wake up early. You could go look up some quotes: early to bed, early to rise, you know, that such things as that. So Rosalind said, I replied back to meditate with the East Coast. They replied back to find humans to meditate with on the West Coast. Wow. Wow, right? Um, why do they have such a problem with your sleep cycle? You know, what business is it of theirs when you decide to go to bed and when you decide to wake up? That's a riot. How people can be really, really intrusive, right? To be criticizing on so many levels. You can actually find it somewhat comical. Like, these people have nothing better to do than to try and regulate your sleep cycle, Rosalind, huh? It's craziness. So Duncan says, haven't joined for a while. How's your mom, Mira? Hope all is well. Duncan, you are so kind. Thank you so much for asking. My mom had been in the hospital. She went to rehab. She's now home. And it was the best thing she could have done to go to the hospital, because I truly believe that her quality of life is now better than it was before she went in, because she had some conditions that were untreated, and now she's getting the support that she needs um, to be functioning better. At least that's what I think at this point. Um, so, uh, Tori, so Bernadette says, feel alone even when people are all around me. You know, Bernadette, I can relate to that. I felt that in the past, where you just feel so separate, you feel so different and isolated. And part of it is because it probably, in the context of your relationship, you squashed down any expression of yourself. So you probably didn't give yourself permission to really be where you were, because it was dangerous or threatening in some way or another. And recovering from that kind of trauma takes deliberate, conscious action and intention, and healing processes. It takes deliberate and concentrated attention and effort. And um, I I can speak from experience. You know, it took me quite a long time to find my way, and I didn't know about tapping at the time, and I know that it can be a really powerful support. So I encourage you today to go and learn tapping. And I was tapping all the time. I was tapping all the time, sometimes out loud, sometimes to myself, sometimes actually physically doing it, sometimes imagining doing it, where I couldn't be in an environment where I could tap without people thinking I was a crazy person. So, yeah, I think that would be very, very helpful to you. And Tori says, let's see, agree. At times, I I feel others' emotions so strongly, and I sometimes feel like I'm a ghost, because I don't know if it's my emotions or someone else's. So I know how that can be, Tori. And I think one of the keys there is to begin to question whether it's your emotion or someone else's. And I shared my way of managing that. It helped me to be able to bless and release it with power to heal. If it's not mine, if it's mine, let me learn the lesson easily and gracefully. If it's mine, let me bless it and release it with power to heal. And what's the website? Duncan asks. I'm thinking that you're asking for the website for tapping. It's called, I'll put the link in the chat again. It's called the Tapping Solution .com. I'm sorry, the Tapping Solution Foundation.org. They changed the name. So yes. Let's see. I lost my place in the chat here. Let me see what we've got. So back to you, Tori, about the emotions is, allowing yourself to feel into the emotion and ask yourself, is this mine? Is it not? And recognizing that it may not be your feelings to start with is a big step. So good morning, Sally. Welcome. Haven't seen you here for a while. Great to have you joining us. Thank you, Tori. This is Maggie. She's a hellion. Sometimes she's lovely and sometimes she's a beast. She's drawn blood on me for the past number of days. Just, I think it might be springtime. She's feeling her oats and biting, and we're trying to navigate that, find our way through that. So Gia says, I was missing your session. I was listening to your Saturday session on rest again, learned about rest. Yes. So I guess it's Saturday where you are. It was Friday here, Gia. So you're in India. Rest is so important. And I find that, in Jewish tradition, the Sabbath is on Saturday, and it's a day of rest. Now, I am not religious, but for me, Saturday has very much become a day of rest, and it's so important to grace ourselves with that and to be generous with ourselves. So, Bernadette and Tori, giving yourself grace, being generous to yourself, being compassionate to yourself. That's a really, really, really important part of healing, because part of our trauma is learning that we're not okay, and oftentimes we internalize the abuse that we've received. So when we've been told that we're not good enough, or all these things that are wrong with us, for instance, then when the perpetrator isn't there to reinforce that messaging, oftentimes we've internalized it and we do that to ourselves. So another path to healing is to begin to hear that voice that is telling us that we're not good enough, or we're not worthy, or all these things are wrong with us. And to recognize that voice, just to hear it, instead of just believing it, to hear the voice and then recreate what it's saying, or to recognize where it came from. And one of the things that you can do with that voice is to speed it up or make it sound like a cartoon. And what happens is that it loses its impact. And we've talked about the bully in the past here. That voice is a bully, and you don't have to play with bullies. So you can recognize it and say, oh, that's the bully, and then potentially just discount that voice. So Duncan says, oh, bless her soul, sending her lots of love. Thank you. I'm thinking, Duncan, that you're talking about my mom. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Gia says, and I see, Mira, that sometimes you can't see my messages even when I'm in the group. Maybe I open it in another site or something. I think that that's the case, Gia. I'm guessing that the only place that I see the messages is from Enlightened World Network's Facebook page. So that's probably the case. When I see your messages, I respond. Harihiyom Tat Sat. Welcome, welcome, and thank you for your lovely emoji or images. They're delightful. And Sally says, it sounds like you're talking about my life story. I was always alone, squashed of all recognition of myself. And so, Sally, you're not alone. There's a bunch of us that have experienced something similar, where whatever we said, whatever we did was not okay or was not good enough. And so uh, what happens is that we isolate to protect ourselves, and then we find ourselves trapped in isolation. And we also find ourselves not to be very kind to ourselves. So I think we get to relearn those those patterns, or recreate new patterns, create new patterns of compassion and appreciation and love. So Bernadette says love and light to you, and to you, Bernadette, and to everyone here. We all have dark passages that we go through in life, and to be able to find our own light is the gift. Sally says, finally got a day off. Great. So you're able to join us. Well, I hope that you take advantage of the day off and enjoy your restfulness. Gia says, I understand one thing is it can feel, it can, let's see, I understand one thing. Can I ever feel other people's emotions in human body? I understand that it's only mine. I see it as happening to mom, and I suffer and suffer. Questioning your thoughts is the ultimate solution. Questioning your thoughts is the ultimate solution. And a lot more tools help me as I have been queen of feeling pain of others, which I now know it's never possible. So this is a really, really interesting comment, Gia, because I growing up, I really picked up on other people's feelings without realizing it. So I do believe it's possible to have an empathic connection with other people, to experience, um, to pick up on emotion that's kind of in the field. I do believe that that's possible. And it's not just from feeling empathy for somebody. However, what I think you're talking about, Gia, is projection, for sure. That we often, and I see this in a lot of people, um, imagine what another person might be going through, and therefore we project that they must be feeling pain, and therefore we feel pain because we imagine that they're feeling pain. So I think you're making an important distinction here, and it's really valuable for us to recognize that much of our experience related to other people is our projection, our imagining of what they might be feeling. Um, and when someone else feels pain, if it's not an imagining, if someone is expressing their pain, feeling pain along with them, feeling your own pain, imagining the pain they might be experiencing. So I think that is a lot of what happens when we talk about being empathic. However, growing up, I did experience emotion that was in my environment. I think that there is an energy of emotion, a frequency that's broadcast that we pick up on. So, yes, we're feeling our own feelings, we're feeling in our own body, but the origin of those feelings may have been, or of that energy, let's say, may have been in the environment. And it's like we're a radio station that gets tuned in to some of these frequencies. And I do actually believe that that does happen. So maybe not as frequently as this projection, but I think it's interesting to make those distinctions, or to recognize when we're projecting pain on, we're experiencing a projected idea or an imagining of someone's pain. Because I have seen that, where people see suffering and then feel this depression or upset because they are projecting their own emotion, their own interpretation on someone else's circumstance. Duncan, Duncan's wondering what Maggie's talking about. She's not super vocal today, but sometimes. Tori, you're so welcome. And Bernadette, we all need self-love. And the thing is that when we've been through trauma, there's pain and shame and disappointment and uh, oftentimes self recrimination and guilt, and also we've been taught in many cases that we're not okay. And so we get to untangle those lessons. So, so Gia says, underneath feeling other people's pain, I have understood that somewhere I was scared for myself. I was scared of it happening to me. What a brilliant insight, Gia. Really, truly. I feel it's only about me most of the times, and people are like mirrors showing my hidden dark areas. Another brilliant insight. So we've often talked about how what we see in the world is a reflection of what's going on inside. So when we this conversation was about metaphor, but we can see the expression of things in the world as a reflection of our own inner experience. So really, really well said, Gia. Thank you for that. And when we're light inside, what we see is light in the world. When we're feeling despairing, we find all kinds of things in the world to despair about. So Bernadette says, does sage help clearing others' emotions? Well, so I think we take on other people's energy. Maybe we can just say that, as if we take it out of the realm of emotion and talk about energy, that Maggie, no biting, no bite, no biting. We take on other people's energy sometimes, or we're impacted by other people's energy. And saging can help with clearing our own field. That's what we want to be talking about, is clearing and strengthening our own energetic field. And another process that's really powerful to be able to do that is a meditation, a simple meditation where you imagine each of the chakras. And so you start with the root chakra, and which is at the base of your spine, and imagine this red ball, and imagine it aligned right to the center of your body at the base of your spine. And then as you breathe, allow it to be centered, and then while that's centered, then go to the second chakra, which is in your lower abdomen, just like near your pubic bone. And in the center, imagine an orange ball, and make sure that that's aligned with the red ball and centered on your body. And then move up to the solar plexus, which is kind of like in between your chest and your belly, and imagine yellow there, a yellow ball, and line that up with the orange and the red. And then for the heart chakra, imagine a green ball and align that. And then the throat chakra, a blue ball. And then the third eye, and imagine a indigo ball on your third eye. And then on the crown above your head, imagine a violet or purple ball, and have these all lined up. And once you've lined them all up, then imagine your breath just flowing through all of them, keeping their alignment, bringing your breath up from the bottom. And as it goes out your head, imagine it coming back around for as you exhale, and then inhale again, moving through all the chakras. So creating this torus around you that's all lined up with your chakras. And that actually will help to align and stabilize and strengthen your own field. It's really powerful, um, a powerful and simple technique. So Tori says, and sometimes you're brought to people for a certain reason don't when you usually don't usually speak up. Sometimes you're guided to others to help them. That's true too, Tori. So you've probably heard about people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime, right? Or a reason, a season, or a lifetime. People come in and out of our lives for all different purposes. And for you guys that are learning to move beyond, for those of us who are healing, understanding or moving from the place of life is not happening to me, it's happening for me and through me. That can also be a profound support, to allow that, even though you might not understand how or why, that life is happening for you. And when we take that perspective, it enables us to look for the gifts even in the worst circumstances. And sometimes time needs to pass before we have the ability to look for those gifts, but they're there. And Gia says, as we keep questioning our thoughts and continue our inner journey, see layers and layers of pain, and each comes up on the surface to be healed. That's true, Gia. And it is layers and layers and layers. And it often seems that the same situations or the same aspects of that pain keep showing themselves again and again and again. But what I believe is that it's kind of on a spiral, that each time that issue is revisited, it's from a different vantage point, it's from a different frequency. It's not the same, because you're not the same. As you evolve, the perspective that you have on that circumstance shifts. And ultimately, we can recognize that we are not our circumstances. We are not our experiences. What we are is embodied, spirit embodied. And when we recognize that we are not our experiences, we are not, they don't define us unless we choose to have them define us. So there's more available to us than the the experiences or the limit of the experiences that we've had. We're bigger than all of it. And ultimately we do have choice, even though sometimes it's hard to find. So Bernadette, you're so welcome. So today we were talking about metaphor, and Bernadette says positive thinking. Positive thinking helps, um, and looking for the benefits. You know, see, the thing is that we're so acclimated and trained to think negatively, culturally, and often in respect to ourselves as well. And those are patterns we get to retrain. The negative thinking isn't any more true than the positive thinking. Like they're both, we're making it up. We're making it up as we go along. The things that we think, the things that we believe, it's not like they're true with a capital T. And so we get to choose, and we get to choose the perspectives that we take. And it's important to recognize that. And in the midst of a conversation to ourselves that is destructive, if we have the grace, and I say grace because we don't always have the opportunity, or sometimes we're so deeply entrenched in something that we can't bring ourselves, see our way clear to recognize what's going on. But if we're able to pull back and see from a higher perspective, we then can choose potentially to recreate our conversation and to create it as something more positive. So, Gia says, I call it reality thinking or truth seeking, as positive thinking means there's negative thinking too, and we keep juggling with both. So I think we're meaning making machines. And I love that you say truth seeking and reality thinking, but we are meaning making machines. And um, I'm reminded of something that a healer friend once said, and that is, or said a lot, is everything is symbolic and nothing is symbolic. And therefore, everything is truth and nothing is truth in a way. And so I think we get to choose how we're going to interpret things and the meaning that we make for things. And I can't say that it's truth necessarily, but we can adopt it as our own truth. And so Tori says, I have to go. Hope everyone's doing well. Please take care. Um, Thank you, Tori. Thank you for being with us. I have to go too. And Gia says, Mira, love you, love you, love you for your experience. That helps me so much, and love your resilience, and your calmness attracts me to you, Mira Rubin. Lots to learn from you. I'm here every day. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you, Gia, and so much love to you. And I am delighted and privileged to be having these moments with all of you. Um, it enriches me, and hopefully it enriches you. These conversations really brighten my life. So thank you so much. And I think we'll call it a day. We ran over our usual, but this is Maggie for anybody who is new here, and she's the star of the show. And I just I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and we go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. Please go check out the other wonderful programming on the multiple Facebook pages of Enlightened World Network. And until next time, lots and lots of love to you.